I don't think it's really like the small where you just pay $100 that people need healthcare for that. I think they needed the healthcare where they got surgery on, they got kidney stones and it was $1 million. Like, and if they don't have insurance, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're on debt for life on that.
I mean, definitely. I just know. I mean, I've traveled to Belgium. I hear friends in Canada. Once you get to that social idea of healthcare, quality goes down.
No,
quantity goes up.
I'm not saying like everything. I'm just saying like the expensive stuff. Not like everything, but I'm saying like the big stuff, because that's where you see.
Well, if you're doing the big stuff, might as well just do everything. If you're doing the big stuff, might as well just cover like the cheap stuff too.
It's because it's just. I mean, if you really want to go down some fucking rabbit holes, like if you see how much percentage, I think I was seeing doctors for cancer, they make like 60% of their money they make from chemotherapy stuff. You can go check that out. So they make most of it from that. So that's what I'm saying. Like that stuff is so expensive, so they push it more. But, I mean, I may be wrong with it, but that's what they push more.
But for the hospital, instead of just charging the person, they're just going to charge the government. They might even charge them a little bit more because they're like, the government's going to pay for it. They're good. I'm going to get my money either way. So they're just going to for sure cover it. And I don't think there's going to be.
But I think the government will bitch about it a little bit more once they have to pay it.
I mean, the government is us. We're the taxpayers. But I'd also go back to Reagan's idea of 9 most terrifying words. We're the government. We're here to help. Healthcare should be a private issue, a private sector issue, not a government issue. Now you can let the free market decide, and these are issues. It's a demand. Let the free market fill on the supply aspect and figure out a program that works without the oversight and overreach of government. Government adds in administrative costs. They add in jobs just to create jobs. We leave something to the private sector. It's going to be more effective. It's going to be cheaper. It's probably going to be easier to get to the people. The issue why it hasn't happened already is because government wants to control insurance. They already have a huge thumb on the program. Get government out of it and let the people and the communities work together. I am more than confident that will figure out something that helps community members, because that's why it's called, I mean, it could be a charity aspect, but charity voluntarily is amazing. Charity or socialist projects by government is now the government saying, you've earned this money, but you don't get to keep it. We're going to decide. We say it's government money, but at the end of the day, it's your taxpayer money, and that's why you're overtaxed.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is still like, I mean, for me, it's hard because I've dealt with stuff personally. So it's, how is someone that makes $40,000 a year going to pay, say if you have, just go through chemotherapy, you got surgery or something, that's $1 million. When are you going to finish paying that? And that's why you said, like, yes, the insurance and the government, yeah, they're in bed together. So that's why it makes everything. But it crushes the person that's making $40,000, $50,000 a year, I think.
But if it's covered by all, they're going to be in bed together more. So it's going to make it. The cost from the person technically is going to be like lifted off. But then there's still, the hospital's still charging the same amount to the government. And
yeah,
then,
I get it.
And because then it's basically going to be like the tax dollars that are paying for that. So
Yeah.
I think the way to get the price down is to have, maybe like how she's saying, like have a free market, more competitiveness to force people to get cheaper like services.
Or allow for different alternatives than insurance. We have cost-sharing groups that their whole section is, we're going to come to as a group of 50 people, 100 people, with the idea that we know 40% of these people are very healthy, but they're going to help offset the cost willingly to these other people in the group. The issue we have in Colorado with that is the state wants to come and say that's going to be regulated like insurance, when the reason that they created this cost-sharing group in the first place was to get away from the insurance model and allow for that coverage of voluntarily, let's help our community members in a way that puts it into a group sharing cost.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying, I know it's a fucked up thing to kind of like settle and what makes sense. It's just hard when, say you don't have insurance and you go and they just do surgery on you. It was a life or death, and now you got $1 million to pay. When are you going to pay that when you make $40,000 a year? You're never.
I know you're never going to pay that.
Like, that's my point. Like, I'm just thinking about it from the person.
But what's to stop the government from taxing you more to be able to pay for that healthcare for everybody? They're going to be left with no money left over for anything else.